Cowboys have always done their research on Amari Cooper, dating way back. Are they rethinking what they discovered? Mike Fisher covering the Cowboys. And looking at my friend Charles Robinson, who was in Oxnard with us, who does a great job at Yahoo, and Charles Robinson suggesting there's some Amari Cooper problems. And I want to walk us through this. First of all, we need a little bit of a history lesson. Before the Cowboys traded for Amari Cooper in the fall of 2018, they called everybody. Jason Garrett on up, Jason Garrett on down. The guy who is a contemporary of whoever would know who Amari Cooper is. That is to say, the trainers in Dallas called the trainers with the Raiders. And the position coaches in Dallas called the position coaches in Alabama. And Jason Garrett called Nick Saban. And of course, the two of them have a friendship, have a relationship. And the question was, because the rumor coming out of the Raiders at the time was, Amari doesn't really like football. And the Cowboys weren't going to trade a first-round draft pick for a guy who doesn't like football, of course, right? So they made the phone calls, including Garrett calling Nick Saban and asking him directly, "You know Amari Cooper extremely well." "Yes, I do." "Does he like football?" And the answer is yes, he does. The answer from Nick Saban is yes, he does. He loves football, student of the game, not a malingerer, will give you everything he's got. That's Nick Saban's answer to Garrett. So they made, based in large part on that recommendation, they made the trade. That was the first big decision they made with Amari Cooper, is to give up a first-round pick for him. They didn't have to make the second big decision. They could have said, okay, that was a good run, but he has a tough time going to work on Wednesdays, injury-wise. Has a tough time going to work on Thursdays, injury-wise. Sundays, he's great, for the most part. And that's been the case in Dallas, for the most part. We've had the little glitch where on the road against a Pro Bowl corner in the cold, Amari Cooper wasn't very good for a little bit of a stretch there. But by and large, he's a perennial Pro Bowler and this team's best receiver and one of this team's best players. And he's been that. But the Cowboys could have unplugged from their decision after making the first one, but they were satisfied with their answers in the 2018 trade, and then they were satisfied again in 2020, and they gave him the $100 million contract. Now, it's got an escape clause in it, so they can say goodbye after this year, but they will still have made him a $20 million receiver. They didn't have to do any of that. They chose to do that because now he'd played in Dallas for a year and a half. They didn't have to call Nick Saban anymore. They didn't have to call the Raiders anymore. They knew themselves. They're comfortable with where Amari Cooper is as a football lover. But Charles Robinson swings into Oxnard and then files this report on a podcast. "You Pod to Win the Game" is the name of the podcast. I get a very strong feeling that internally there, they really don't want to be dealing with his issues, reports Charles. He's banged up multiple games. He's not practicing. He's got soft tissue problems. It's this, it's that. I truly feel there's going to be a strong focus on him internally there. Like, okay, we're paying this guy like he's an elite number one, and we can't continue to have him this banged up here, banged up there, this problem, that problem. End of quote. Charles Robinson is a trusted voice here. This information comes from a Charles Robinson face-to-face visit with somebody in this camp, in this building. Does that mean his source is right or has the right to be frustrated? The word I'll use is frustrated. They're frustrated with him. I know that members of the coaching staff here wish Cooper get on the field. They want to see what they have. They want to put their weapon into place. They want to, all these things that they have, all these components, all these puzzle pieces, they want to see them. Like any coach would, like any fan does, like any media member does. Want to see it all. Instead, he's on PUP, rehabbing slowly from the minor ankle surgery. I assume the front office would like to see the same thing. They've made the investment. They want to see it too every day. Of course, once the games start, the Amari Cooper investment always pays off. 9 games in 2018, 53 catches, 725 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. Then he continued to pile up stats the next year and the next year. Sunday stats, despite the fact that the nagging injuries, like his present one, keep him from practicing fully. Also part of the Amari picture, and this really might be stuck in the craw of the person that Charles spoke to. He is the opposite of the so-called receiver diva, to the point where he might be too mellow and maybe even too thoughtful. Sometimes coaches don't like guys that are too thoughtful. That doesn't fit the tastes of some coaches. So that causes some to wonder if he cares. The fact that he's just kind of mellow. It's funny what we want out of these guys. When they're too loud, we want them to shut up. When they're too quiet, we want them to speak up. It's not completely fair when Amari Cooper views his main job as, when Sundays come, to show up. Privately, the people inside this organization who know him do not question his toughness. They do not question his conditioning. They just want him on the field. So Robinson is right in the sense that the people in charge of the team want to see this offense hitting on all cylinders every day. Wouldn't that be fun? Including in camp. Although that won't happen for Amari Cooper, Dallas tells us, until after we leave Oxnard, go to Arizona, and then return to the Star. So he will not participate in Oxnard, will not play against Pittsburgh, obviously. Might even stay back in California for that, as will a handful of guys, and won't play against Arizona. Then we come home, go back to the Star, then maybe we see Amari. I hope. And as it regards anybody questioning Cooper's future with the team, because that's what people have taken Charles Robinson's piece and turned it into. That's accurate next year, because there's an escape hatch in that contract that allows Dallas to divorce him and divorce his $20 million a year salary at a dead money cost of $6 million. That's the sort of move that could lead to the Cowboys saying, let's keep Gallup at $12 million and say goodbye to Amari at 20, eat the 6, and then we've got Gallup and CD Lamb as our top 2 receivers. And then we'll see after that. But that's spring of 2022. That's not now. For now, Dallas has every reason to believe in the decisions it's already made. The one powered by Nick Saban and made with the Raiders, and the one powered by a $100 million belief made with Amari Cooper. On the Cowboys, Fish out.